This channel is made possible by viewers like you. My viewers, subscribers, and patrons greatly help to keep this channel going. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for all of you. Please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any uploads. And if you'd like to go the extra mile, please check out my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you'll get access to what I'm working on, previews of upcoming content, and even early videos, along with other tier options for those that are interested. Thank you, and now on to the video. When it comes to the original Star Wars Bounty Hunter, I am a fan. It is a game I really enjoyed back on the GameCube. I even replayed it a few years ago, with it being one of the first PS2 games on the PS4 you could buy digitally. It is a very fun game. There's a lot to like and enjoy about it, but it's also a game that had a bunch of flaws and rough edges that can make it really hard to even get into today. Some aspects is because of some of the older design. Other stuff just seems like if the developer had more time to iron stuff out, it would have been a lot smoother. So this is where a potential remaster could honestly help to retool things to make an improved experience. While out of the gate, I do like that this game is now on PC for the first time, along with sharper visuals and even some nice modern touches to the controls. I do feel like this title could have received just a bit more than what was provided here by Aspyr. I have played some of their prior work, and honestly they generally provide minimal remaster type stuff, so if the original game was really good, then the remaster tends to be good too, like say with Episode 1 Racer or Republic Commando. And then there are oddities like what we got with the Battlefront collection. I have no idea what happened there, because it really should not have happened. The recent Tomb Raider was another odd one because it swung in the other direction, with more options like being able to fully toggle old and new graphic options. Here with Bounty Hunter we have a game that I still enjoy, and it is very fun, but I am left with why wasn't more done with this? This is more on par with their prior work, but for a game that really could have benefited from a proper remaster and really get that treatment, there is so much more that you could have done with it. Bounty Hunter could have honestly turned into an even better game. So I want to point out a few things that still bother me from the original game. There is an odd design here where you only have a set amount of continues per level. This sounds like the type of stuff you would see within an arcade game, where you need to put quarters into it. In theory, I kind of like this a bit because you have a set amount that you need to figure out how to use to complete the stage. It is even kind of like the set amount of saves that you see in old Hitman games, depending on the difficulty. And there lies in my first issue with this system. There is no difficulty option, which is kind of cool in concept because everyone gets the same experience. But when you pair cheap gameplay moments and deaths with a limited number of continues, the frustration can really set in. For example, there could have been ways to improve this with the remaster. Say, allowing for the player to earn some more lives while in a level, maybe allow for difficulty options, or even an infinite continue option for those that want to use it. They could have had a legacy mode, play the game as it was made with no changes, modern mode with a way to earn more continues, and then beginner mode where it's the normal game but now you have infinite continues. As a side note, I do like how you come back from a continue. Nothing has changed or reset when you come back. You kind of just pick up where you left off at the last checkpoint of sorts. This overall system was even something that led to some very satisfying moments when I originally played the game. I would have levels where I was near the end, and I did not have many lives or none left, so the intensity was cranked up. Every movement I made and action I took had a lot of weight behind it, and then there were many cases where I died anyway, which was very frustrating because then it was back to the start. But for those instances where I was able to actually get past that point and win, they provided some really satisfying moments. The problem goes back to is that something that while it can provide satisfaction, with its challenge the game needed better balancing to have a continue system that made the game feel more fair and challenging, rather than playing into the frustration with this game feeling very cheap at times. This is where Aspyr could have done a lot more to improve on this area, but it doesn't seem like much action was taken to really do this, sadly.
That area is notorious for contraband peddlers. We might find someone looking to buy some death.
While this game very much is, outside of some improvements here and there, like an appreciated flashlight, some nice modern aiming options, and the visuals, the game didn't really seem to get the retooling with its difficulty either. For better or for worse, this is the original game, and again, I think this is where there should have been some sort of classic mode, and then a modern mode to help iron out those rough edges, that makes the game feel very cheap at times. It is stuff like this, and the lack of addressing any of the continue system that makes me feel like the developer just took a bit of the easy way out with this one. And I am sure a lot of work went into this, but as a simple player, it feels lazy to not address many of the glaring issues that Bounty Hunter had to begin with. And now after saying all of this, I do want to hit on some of the other aspects to the game, and not just focus on the doom and gloom where the remaster could have been better. There's also a lot of fun to be had here, just like with the original. Shooting enemies with John Williams music going on in the background is awesome. I love all the gadgets that you get to use as part of your arsenal and weapon pickups. The blasters that can hit 2 enemies at once, explosives, especially your missile, the always fun jetpack, and a lot more. Django has a lot of tools that you get to use, and they're great. Something else that was really fun to revisit were the bloopers and outtakes from the original game. Some of these are hilarious, and still are. I miss when games would just include all this extra stuff into it. I am always on about how games used to be better back in the day, and especially for AAA industry type of stuff, honestly they used to be. And yes, I'm still referring to a game with borderline broken elements with this, also really just being able to bring the fun, and honestly the funny, that you would find with Bounty Hunter.
You still put up a good fight, Django. But I don't have time for games. I'm on the hunt. I'm on the hunt.
That's better one. Cool. Yeah, if you ever anything you want to try, just feel free.
Okay.
Be on that, Eric.
I'd like to try a different hair product.
For a special prey. If you succeed, the reward will be in the amount of 5 million Republic.
Star Wars Bounty Hunter had another aspect that very much was a huge asset to the experience. The story and characters were really good. Like many of the prequel games, they expanded upon aspects and characters that were just touched upon within the films. I like how we get to experience the prequel to Django. Usually in many cases, I don't want to know everything about a character. It takes away the mystery from them. But in this case, we get enough, and it's cool to see the adventure that essentially got Django selected to being the clone for the clone army. Not everything is explained or connected to episode 2, and honestly they could have made a sequel to this game and really dug into more stuff because there was room for it, but with much of the laziness coming from Disney for Star Wars, and if you never played this, the story here could be a nice motivating factor. So back to my comments about this as a remaster. It is fine. I haven't fully completed the game here. Like I said, I used the level select to kind of bop around and see how the balancing was for the areas that I knew were tough and cheap from the original. I really do think that this remaster could have been elevated if it addressed and bettered the checkpoint and cheapness to the game. Another thing to note is how the lock-on can cause some crazy camera issues, and it just doesn't seem to lock on to enemies like it should at times. Using it can also be really annoying. Like I said, many of the issues with Bounty Hunter are kinda glaring, and it can be hard to miss, even for a casual player. This is again where I would have appreciated a studio like Night Dive really going in to create those excellent remasters, and they could have provided something even better here with a nice end product, because they always manage to impress with their efforts. I think Aspyr could have took a step in that direction for this game. That all being said, I am happy that this is now on PC, now even more accessible to more gamers. I just wish that more was done because there was plenty of room for it. What are your thoughts on Star Wars Bounty Hunter Remastered? Were you a fan of the original? Let me know all of this in the comments down below. If you're interested in being notified of new videos, please hit the subscribe button and bell. And if you would like to support the channel and get early access to content, please check out my Patreon. All of the links will be at the end of this video and within the description. And thank you very much for watching.